Hetapu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Qesankh Kaparu with another exciting video for you. And in this video, I'm going to give you my review of James Cameron's Avatar, The Way of Water. But before I go into that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. Now, if you are interested in knowing a little bit more about my spiritual teachings, you can scroll down below. There are 4 ebooks. You can click on them and download the ebooks, but that's only if you're watching on my spiritual channel. But if that's not enough for you and you want to follow that rabbit down the rabbit hole, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. It's up to you, and you can cancel at any time. You'll get instructional videos on the spiritual videos that will teach you how to meditate, proper breathing exercises, how to contact the ancestors, how to astro project, how to do self hypnosis to get rid of negative habits like overeating, smoking, anything of that nature. And if you are a Sarah level supporter, you'll get all your Oracle readings for free. So become a Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get this revolution started. Harun Nefer, may Buddha bless you, Grand Rising. So I'm still here in New York and in my hotel room. It's actually a nice hotel. I said that before in the previous broadcast, but I'm still rather impressed because, sometimes you'll get into a hotel and people don't speak and, it's cramped up, not a great view. But this hotel, everybody's really friendly. The food is good because they serve breakfast. So it was great. I love it. So I'll be leaving soon to go back to Las Vegas. And then, as I said before, and then it will be off to what's in January. So we have the Las Vegas experience. So if you're interested in coming to Las Vegas for New Year's, you can hit me up and we can talk about that. That's a program where I'll be taking people to Las Vegas' hottest clubs and basically creating social circles so that you don't have to do it on your own. I'll show you how to do it. I'll introduce you to some people, and so you can form your cliques and meet new friends that you'll carry into 2023. Then in January, we're going to Brazil, and then we're going to go back to Brazil in February for Carnival, and then I think what is that? March maybe. The Philippines, but I'll keep you updated on that because the schedule may change. Okay. We just did 2 trips to Colombia, and that was great. And I made so many great friends. I'm thinking about going back there now. I'm like, oh my God, it's like I miss those guys. So maybe I should go back. All right. So let's get down to business. Let's talk about Avatar, The Way of Water. So I saw the movie in IMAX 3D. I wanted to make sure I got a really, really good experience seeing this. So if you see it, I recommend that you see it in 3D and a wide screen as possible because you want to be fully immersed in the experience. So I think it's 3 hours and 10 minutes. And it goes by pretty quick. It doesn't I thought there was some things that were dull and could have been cut, but it wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean? I think your only problem you have to worry about is when you couple that with the previews, you're looking at maybe 4 hours in the movie theater. No kidding. That includes getting your popcorn and everything. Um, so I went there and just I had a big meal before because I know I don't want to be hungry or have to go to the bathroom and leave. So I sat through the whole thing, with no interruption. But some people had to take a bathroom break. They used to post. James Cameron used to post. I think it was for Avatar 1, or when was the best time to take a break during Avatar 1. But I don't think they did that for this film. So keep that in mind. Okay, so down to the review. So if you ask me, what did I think of this? I would have to say, I'm going to break it down to a couple categories. I would have to say, overall, I thought the movie was good. I really think it was good. It took James Cameron over 10 years to make this movie, right? So it was well worth it. And I'm going to tell you why, because The story, I love the story because now we're dealing with so much woke content in movies that I feel it has destroyed movies. I had a friend who said we should do reviews of movies. You know, we can do that on YouTube. I said, brother, I don't go to movies anymore because they're so horrible with the woke nonsense, and it's just not even the woke nonsense. It's a bad script writing. It's just horrible, you know. So I can't take it, and this and the mind control programming, subliminal stuff they put in there. I felt I used to go to the cinema every week, and now I fell out of love with it. I don't go anymore because I don't want to pay um, to be programmed or to be get these woke messages. They're horrible, you know. And then we were talking about recently James Cameron's last Terminator film called Dark Fate, which was awful. It was so woke. It was awful. And I don't even talk about the Star Wars film. But anyway, I digress. This film is not woke, not in the slightest. And that's the great thing because it focused, you know how the woke films, they want to make these so-called strong female characters that ended up being kind of butch-ish in a way. This film was all about family. It was about father and son relationships. That's the thing I loved about the film. Made me want to have a family, you know. So I would say the film is good. The message is positive. And here's the other thing. Now I'm sitting there watching this with my 3D glasses on. I'm kind of like uh, freaking out because I'm just like, how do what? I'm just like blown away by the visuals, the CGI. I'm just like, oh, whoa, whoa. If you know, it wasn't too long ago where there were two very difficult things for CGI to render. Number one was water, and the other was hair. They have totally solved that problem. When I'm looking at these characters, um, from Pandora go underwater, and the things that you see, you're just like mesmerized. It's like, wow, how did they do that? I mean, there's stuff that they integrate so much in terms of live action with the CGI, you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. There's a time in cinema where you can tell if a CGI was like in the frame. You knew it was CGI, you know, but here you have no clue like what's CGI, what's real, and you just like go with it, and you're like it's kind of like blown away. You're like, wow, wow, you know. And just as a side note, while I was in the theater, I started getting sick, and because I can't sit down for too long, that's why I don't like to take long plane rides because I can't sit down for too long. I start to get into like intense pain. So I started getting sick, and you can hear it in my voice because my voice cracks and things when I start getting in pain. So I'm like, I don't care how much pain I am. I'm staying in this theater to finish this film, and I did. You know, I kind of weathered through the pain. Um, this is impressive in terms of what James Cameron did. I mean, it's just I don't know, man. It's just like wow. You look at the film and you're just like, what the hell, man? Look how far we've come. It's like it's like he was right in a way when he was comparing it to Marvel and Thanos, right? Saying that um, Way of Water is leaps and bounds better CGI than Thanos, right? And I didn't like really take him serious until I saw the film. I'm like, he's right. It's like now that I think about it, watching Thanos is like watching a cartoon, and watching Way of Water is like watching sophisticated CGI. You're just gonna if you know, I would say just if you're a little reluctant to go, just go. If you're a film buff, go for the visuals, man. You're gonna be blown away. You got to see it in 3D. Do not see it in regular 2D. It's not going to be worth it. Get it in 3D IMAX or why it's the biggest screen you can find. You know, and there's a bigger screen in New York. It only hit me when I went to the IMAX here, and I was like, oh man, I just realized there's an even bigger screen, and I forgot. I think it's more uptown, and I really should have. I wish I would have purchased a ticket for that screen because I saw like a couple of films on that screen. It was ginormous, man. It was like whoa, and I really just like kicked myself in the butt saying I should have just gone back and saw it in that screen, but I didn't think of it until I already purchased my ticket. But you're gonna get blown away. Now, here's the downside to it, right? And I talked about in certain parts is a little boring. I did feel that the story should have been developed more. I think the story is just really too simple. I was waiting for like some more surprises, some more in-depth story, and it's very, very simple story. It's straight to the point, simple story, kind of like a similar story to the first movie. And that was a downer for me because I just felt like it was. Oh yeah, this reminds me. I just felt like it was just hanging on to a very simplistic story when it could have gone deeper. This I kind of like picked somebody told me this, and then I was like, well, let me see. And they're absolutely 100% right. You know what this movie is? And I will kid you not. It is like watching Titanic and Aliens with Sigourney Weaver. This is exactly what this film is like. They borrow heavily from Titanic. Oh my God. I'm like, well, this is Titanic. And they borrow right away from um, Aliens. And I'm like, well, they're both James Cameron films. I guess he could copy himself. And that's why I thought, I'm like, oh, you're just redoing this. So yeah. And that was a little bit of downer. I was like, okay, we've seen this before. And I'm not kidding you. When you see the movie, you will see it's an Aliens with Titanic mixture. And both of them were hit films, so it's no big deal. But I mean, I can't imagine. When I did CGI for my first film, feature film, Bug, it took a long time for the computer to render that. You'll if you get a chance to see Bug, check out the ending. That's where the CGI is, and that was back in 1993. I'm looking at the film and the complexity of what the computers are rendering. Like I said again, I see why it took 10 years. It's amazing. It's amazing. So the reason I say it's good film, but not a great film, because if he had developed the story more, it could have been a great film. Could have been a great film. So because the story was so simplistic, I say, look, it's probably more for kids will enjoy it. Because I like films that really give you like twists and turns and maybe a who done it, murder mystery, something that's, I wouldn't say like a kind of similar to M. Night Shyamalan film. A lot of his films aren't good, but he's like a one trick pony. But anyway, um, I like things that really get into deep stuff. Oh, perfect example is the first Matrix. Yeah, that's a very deep film. So you didn't get that in this film. So that's why I says probably kids will enjoy it with the visuals and the family message. So, but there is also one important scene, and I won't give you any. It's not going to be any spoilers in this. Okay, I should have said that from the beginning. Sorry, I'm not going to spoil anything. But they actually touch upon what makes you spiritual, and they kind of allude to the fact that the right brain is the connection to the universe, and it makes you spiritual. And that's actually what they're trying to harvest in this film. That's what the film is centered around because they're trying to get something. I'm not going to give that away. They're trying to get something that humans in that future world need. And the scientist talks about how, hey, listen, this is what makes not that thing, but he's talking about another aspect of the biology is what makes you spiritual, the right brain, the emotion, and it connects you to nature and life. And I was like, oh, so they know. I did have another problem. I'm not going to call it, you know, what's the term for it? Cultural appropriation. But I kind of felt like they were making the blue Pandorians or whatever you want to call them white. And we know that from history, there was never any white tribal people who were spiritual. That's not part of history. Okay, so it would have been cool to have them more like African features, and really really bring home the fact that These are native people, you know, that white colonizers are trying to destroy and kill their way of life, and they are spiritual. The other thing is we're going to have to accept something, which is to start looking at history in a totally different way. Our ancestors were not primitive people. You know, we were not these primitive tribal people. That came about through being nomadic. And what I mean by that is when you're traveling from place to place to place, and there's the colonizers, you can't settle. And if you can't settle in one particular part, then you don't advance as a people. You don't build empires because you're constantly on the move to survive. So when you see tribal people, you're seeing the remnants of a colonized continent. So many times we look at Nature Channel or whatever, and they show all of these tribal people. They try to make it seem like we've always been that way through time memorial or immemorial, whatever. And I'm like, no, we have never been that stagnant. We progressed and built empires, and those empires were destroyed, you know causing the people to flee deeper into like Central Africa to avoid slave catchers. And when you're constantly on the move and you're a nomadic tribe, you don't have the ability to settle in one place and create a high culture. So I just wanted to bring that home because I just really feel like you see this film and you see like the blue people are just so primitive, but still loving and connected to the universe. No, our people were very, very advanced people. Like and I can tell that they don't really understand tribal cultures because, they had, the two men talking and then the two men deciding what to do. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Those two men don't decide what to do. You got to bring in the elders, and then you have to bring in the priests with the oracle, and then together, that's how you make a decision on what to do. We just didn't like come together and toss a coin and say, hey, let's do this, or just because you and I agree, we're going to do this. It doesn't work that way, Oh, you bring it up the Atlanteans and Lemurians. Ooh, nice, nice. You know your history. So I just felt like they were trying to like push it more toward these blue people being more European. You know what I mean? And I was like, tell the truth, tell the truth. You know what I mean? But it's really here's the deal. He's really hanging on the same trope. In other words, it's about colonialism. The first one was about colonialism. This one's about colonialism. Same thing, no different, you know? So I'm like, well, I wish you would have went in there and just told a very different story or a more in-depth story. You could have, I mean, there's so many ways they could have gone, but he wanted to use that same old story arc. You know what I mean? And it was like we're supposed to love the blue people because they're so spiritual, and the people who are invading are so evil, and there's a lot of gray in between that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that the film didn't touch on, that if you look at historically what happened to tribal people, it was bad. When Columbus came and discovered a new world, he beheaded the native people, he raped the women, killed the babies, enslaved the rest. So, and this film doesn't go that dark. Not that it should, but I'm just letting you know that, hey, there's a lot of the in between here that was not covered, that which really happened. So keep that in mind. But there's also, I just want to throw this out there too. When the colonizers came to Africa, they referred to black people as blue black. So I always found that interesting. And I actually, when I did see the darker African people from more Central Africa, they were blue black. I was like, oh shoot, that's just not a a tag or category to put them into. That's actually what they look like. You know what I mean? It's like, and it looks beautiful. If you can Google some of the women who are like blue black, they look beautiful. You know, so um, we kind of have to. I mean, these films borrow heavily from real life. Like you got George Lucas's Star Wars and his midi chlorines. The more midi chlorines you have, the more you're connected to the Force you are. So same thing. It's like melanin. The more melanin you have, the more connected you are to nature and the universe. You know, so yeah, it's very interesting. But you know, it's definitely worth. The movie is definitely worth you going out to see it. You know. Like I said, I don't go out that often, but this one was a James Cameron film, and I heard some good feedback on it. So I said, let me check it out because I'm like, I did not see that garbage woke film, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And the mere fact that it was over 3 hours confirmed it for me. I'm not going to sit through a woke movie for 3 hours. It's garbage, you know? But again, most of these Hollywood people don't know anything about spiritual culture or African culture. They wing it. I don't even think they consult real experts on this because they killed off all the shaman. Oh wow, man. So check it out. And you know, you let me know your opinion and what you thought of it. Some people did get a little from the voices that I heard were a little bit bored, but you know, like there was just a the small like if I was the editor, I would cut out a small section in the middle because I think it was unnecessary. And I think that would have chopped it down to less than 3 hours. And I think that would have been great, you know. But hey, James Cameron wanted to include everything in there, but it's spectacular in terms of visual effects. So that's why you need to check it out. But again, let me know what you think. If you get an opportunity, please donate to the channel. Don't forget to hit that like button. Uh, anyway, this is my voice is still cracking. All right. I took some medication, so I feel a lot better now. You know, so yeah, 3 hour movie. You got to be from a good director for me to check that out. It's got to be like something top notch. This is Qesankh Kefaru, son of my aunt Tahuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, I'm in Ra.